Hey again, everyone. It's Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Welcome aboard. This is the spot for our Miami Hurricanes live show this week that we announced at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Hopefully, everything is good with Cam Underwood from State at the U, but I'm still awaiting his response and for him to take the link and jump on the line. But so we hope everything is good with Cam. Meanwhile, I'll talk a little college football and we'll comment to your questions and comments in the live chat. Also, I will take your calls at 860-325-3687. The number is 860-325-3687. So, again, we had announced it. This would be our Miami Hurricanes live show at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. So thanks for waiting. I know that it's about 15 after 8 o'clock, but I was waiting for Cam to jump on the line, and we hope all is well with him. So let's get to the comments in the live chat. And otherwise, I will let you know what's going on here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. And I will take your calls at 860-325-3687. Mohammed, good to see you. Eddie the Cane on the line as well. Evan, considering the recent, there should be a lot of talk about tonight. I certainly wanted to get Cam's take on the early enrollees. I believe there are 13 on campus at Miami. I posted a couple videos with the wholesome one. So please check out those videos. We looked at Rhett Lashley as offensive coordinator and also offensive line coach Garen Justice. And also posted a video on the Wholesome One's analysis of Miami's early enrollees. So jump on the line and check out those videos. So Miami fans, it's good to see you. Just got a super chat contribution. I will get to that in just a second. I believe that's from Vela265. Thank you so much for the contribution here to Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. We just completed our Ohio State live show. I'm sure many of you could care less about that. Just letting you know that if you want to hear some Ohio State football talk, you can catch that as it is just posted. And good again to see all of you on the line. Brett Varner, good to see you. It's been a while, I believe. Hit that like button. It helps us considerably. So if you know nothing about YouTube, I can't explain the algorithms or the analytics, but the like button translates directly to possibility that the video will go to the suggested videos that you see on the right side of your screen, whether you're holding your phone or your laptop. And people are just statistically, it's been proven over and over again that people are likely to grab a suggested video. If you see the video on the side of the screen, more people are by far likely to grab those videos. So we need videos, we need views, we need subscribers here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. What I'm going to be releasing over the next several days is going to be my postseason rankings, my 2019 rankings. So from week to week, I release my top 25 that actually makes sense. But for the postseason, it's taking me a little bit longer because I'm ranking all 130 teams, 130 all the way up to number one. Also, as I just mentioned, we've got 2 Miami videos posted just in the last 2 days on the Rhett Lashley hire, Garen Justice as offensive line coach, and also looking at the early enrollees on campus in Coral Gables. Also, coming in the next week or so, conference rankings. I'm going to rank the Power 5 conferences based on their metrics and their stats and their results against each other. And also, I've got my conference offensive and defensive players of the year to be announced. I know a lot of talk has surrounded De'Ara King and his entry into the transfer portal from Houston, a kid that has accounted for at least 50 touchdowns in a season. And a lot of you Miami fans would love to see him jump on board. Cheryl, it's good to see you. Cuban Canes, good to see you as well as Eddie the Cane as well. So I'm going to dive through the comments. There aren't too many at this point with 46 on the line, but I will take your calls about college football in general or Miami in particular, at 860-325-3687. There's the number at 860-325-3687. We hope Cam's doing well, and we are awaiting his arrival. And again, hope that everything is good with him. I am going to pull up the 2020 Miami football schedule. And Miami fans, keep in mind, before you jump to conclusions, that this should be a 10-2 or 11-1 run for the Canes in 2020, because it's not going to sound that impressive. Again, keep in mind what the 2019 schedule looked like. Florida, better. Nobody else, based on just talent, better. But North Carolina turned out to be better. Virginia Tech turned out to be better. Even the likes of, on that given day, FIU and Georgia Tech turned out to be better. Surprisingly, and kind of ironically, the team that won the division for the second straight year, the team that won the Coastal Division, Pitt, in 2018, and Virginia in 2019, were not good enough to beat Miami, but they were better than Miami during the course of the ACC season. So Virginia finished at 6-2 in the conference, and Miami at 4-4. But the Cavaliers lost to the Canes head-to-head, 17-9. The previous year, the Pitt Panthers went 6-2 in conference, and Miami only went 4-4 in conference. But Miami slugged them out at home and beat them 24-3. So Miami was the better team on the field against Pitt, the ACC Coastal Division champion in 2018 by far, in a blowout, 24-3. And they bested Virginia last season at home, head-to-head, 17-9, but couldn't win the games that they were supposed to win the division, even though they beat the division champ 2 consecutive years. And I guess we could go back to, of course, the Canes won it in 2017, but go back to 2016 when Virginia Tech won the division, and I'm almost certain that they beat Miami at home that year. That was a key game early November that Virginia Tech beat Miami in what was a decent game until the fourth quarter, and Virginia Tech blew them out. Something in the range of like 37-21 comes to mind in 2016. So that trend didn't continue all the way back. But over the last 2 years, Miami's been better than the ACC Coastal Division champion head-to-head, but not better over the course of the season, which cannot sit well with Miami fans. So let's pull up the 2020 schedule. Let's give this thing a look. Why is it taking me so long? Here we go. As most of you know, the Miami schedule in 2020 opens at Hard Rock Stadium against Temple. That will not be an easy game, but as it stands right now, I would expect Miami to be a 12 to 14 point favorite at home against Temple, a team that got blown out by North Carolina 55-13 in a bowl game this year, but still was good enough to beat some decent Power 5 teams and get to a bowl game at 8-4. So Temple's not a pushover, but it should be a win. Week number 1 at home. Week number 2 is against Wagner. Okay. Should be 2-0. Should be 2-0. UAB, week number 3. I'll not put them quite in the class of a Temple, but close, in that UAB has been the class of Conference USA To a certain extent, they've been on that tier and been a very respectable team that's won the conference. So UAB comes in week number 3. So that's 3 consecutive home games to start the season against Temple, Wagner, and UAB. So Miami should be 3-0 at that point. I wouldn't be surprised if they're 2-1. I would be shocked if they were 1-2, but it's possible. Then they go to Michigan State. Michigan State has fallen on hard times in recent years. They're only a 500 program since they went to the college football playoff in 2015 in going 3-9, 10-3, 7-6, and now 7-6 again this year. But they did just beat Wake Forest in a bowl game in the Pinstripe Bowl. A pretty impressive effort from the Spartans, but they're going to have to retool the defense and replace quarterback Brian Lewerke. So interesting date with Miami taking on Michigan State at East Lansing, with Miami taking on a Big Ten team for the first time in a long time. I would think non-conference. Off the top of my head, the last time Miami took on a Big Ten team in regular season play would have been against Ohio State in 2011. Beat the Buckeyes at home in 2011 after losing in Columbus against Ohio State in 2010. Before that, Miami had some series against Penn State in the early 2000s. Okay, the Canes open up ACC play at Georgia Tech. No, wait a minute. These dates have yet to be announced. So these are just the ACC games, not necessarily in order based on the schedule I've got in front of me. The ACC games are obviously all the ACC Coastal Division games: Duke, Georgia Tech, North Carolina, Pitt, Virginia, Virginia Tech. But who does Miami play in the other division? Well, of course, they play Florida State as always. This time they've got them at home after beating the Noles in Tallahassee last year, 27-10. And they've got Wake Forest on the road. So pretty tough assignment. Miami took care of its other Atlantic Division foe last year, Louisville, 52-27, in the most impressive offensive showing for the Canes last year. All right, what are you guys talking about in the live chat? Where are we? Bergie asking, hey, Mark, what do you think of Tyler Van Dyke's chances of grabbing the quarterback job in 2020? I would think that they're pretty slim. Despite some marginal play out of Williams and Perry, N'Kosi Perry would most likely be my quarterback. I wouldn't hand him the job. He would have to earn it. But based on what I've seen between those two quarterbacks, I would think that he would be the guy that would win the job. Jaron Williams, in my mind, would have to do considerably better than N'Kosi Perry head-to-head this spring in August to win the job, because Perry's the better quarterback in my eyes. He's more confident. He's more decisive with the football, makes slightly better decisions, not tons better decisions, but he throws the ball with conviction downfield and sticks it in there. Tyler Van Dyke, I've not seen the kid play. He's a not elite prospect, but he's a very high-end prospect. So he would get his shot with me. Hurricane Logan and the boy on the line. Yeah, I'm reading and talking at the same time. That's not always a good thing. Joseph Holmes, thank you so much for the contribution to Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. We appreciate it and hope you get a lot out of the channel. Got a decommit from Fred Eford, 2021. Eddie the Cane, yes, you were right, Mark. We all drank the Kool-Aid in the offseason thinking we were going to win 10-plus games, and then look what happened. Yeah. Good attitude. You're acknowledging and taking accountability, Bergie, for 2019, but saying, what else can you say about it? 6-7 against a bad schedule, but it's over. Even at this point, Manny Diaz can only say so much about last season. He shouldn't even say much else about last season except just as analysis toward what's going to happen in 2020. It's over. There are going to be, so I looked at this a couple years ago, and it was surprising to me because I typically think, hey, the elite teams in college football stay elite. We could name them off of one hand. And the just doormats of college football stay the doormats of college football. And then everybody else in between is generally a good program like Michigan State or like Stanford, or who had a down year, of course, this year at 4-8, but they're generally good. And then there are some teams that aren't necessarily doormats, but they're generally not very good. Virginia, typically. Wake Forest, Syracuse, but they're not awful, beaten down all the time. But I was surprised when I ran these numbers a couple years ago, and I'll do the same this year, as well as run the numbers on my predictions in 2019 versus what the actual results turned out to be, and we'll see how well I did. But I was interested to see that almost 40% of the country in Power 5 football either added at least 3 wins or subtracted at least 3 wins from their total the previous season. So I looked at the 2018 results and looked at 2017 and made the comparisons between 17 and 18, and just about 40% of the country even improved, at least improved that much or declined that much from season to season. And when you think about 3 games, at least 3 games, that's considerable. That's considerable. Those are 8-4 teams going 5-7 or worse. That's a 10-3 team then going 7-6 or worse. Or that's a 3-9 team suddenly getting to bowl status at 6-6. That's pretty considerable that much of college football year to year improves that drastically or declines. So for Miami, you would think that the ceiling would be much higher than the floor, that 6-7 could become 9-4. Or if you just take the regular season, 6-6 could quickly become 9-3, because that's going to happen to a lot of teams this year. If we look at last year's standings, we'll just take the Power 5. And I'm going to read off everybody's record in the regular season and then think back to 2018 and what they did. Well, Clemson went 12-0 and Clemson went 12-0. Louisville, though, just finished a 7-5 season. They went 2-10 the year before. So they're one of those teams. Wake Forest, 8-4, and whatever they were the year before, I believe 7-5. No change there. Florida State, 6-6, 5-7 the year before. Boston College was 6-6 this past year. They went 7-5 the year before. Not much change there. Syracuse, okay. Team number 2, 5-7 this past year in 2019. Dino Babers had them at 9-3 in the regular season the year before. So there's team number 2 already that either increased or decreased by at least 3 wins or losses. North Carolina State, another example. There's team number 3 just in the Atlantic Division between 2018 and 2019 that at least improved or declined by 3 games. North Carolina State went from 9-4 to 4-8. Virginia, 8-5 to 9-5. Virginia Tech from 6-7 to 8-5. Miami from 7-6 to 6-7. Pitt from 7-7 to 8-5. North Carolina, bing, there's team number 4 just in the ACC. North Carolina went from 2-10 in 2018. Voila, Mac Brown arrives and they go 7-6. That's 4 teams in the ACC that either improved or declined by at least 3 games. Duke, 5-7 this past season, 7-6 the year before, and Georgia Tech would be the other team, 3-9 this past season, and I believe they won 6 games the year before. So you got 5 teams in the ACC that fit that category. 5 out of 14 teams that went from here to here or here to there, increasing by 3 wins or 3 losses. So with at least a 3-game differential between 2018 and 2019, just in the ACC, 5 teams. So when you're making your predictions for next year, keep that in mind, that you need to take at least a third of college football and upgrade the win total substantially by at least 3 or decrease it by 3. In the Big 12, Oklahoma 11-1 in the regular season. Of course, they went 11-1 the year before. Baylor, bing, there's another team. There's team number 6. They went from 6-6 last year to 11-1 this year in the regular season. Texas stayed about the same. They went 9-3 and then 8-4, or actually went 7-5 this year. Won the bowl game to go 8-5. Oklahoma State stayed about the same. Kansas State went from 5-7 to 8-4. There's team number 7. And we've just started on our second conference. Kansas State went from 5-7 to 8-4. So this is good news, Miami fans, that tons of teams every year increase by at least 3 wins or decrease. Now you'll really be in trouble, and it will really be a shock, and there'll really be rumblings here and just chaos if Miami goes from 6 wins to 3. West Virginia won 9 games the year before, only won 5 last year. There's 8 teams. TCU went from 7-5. Texas Tech stayed about the same, and so did Kansas. We'll only go through one other conference, but I think I'm making my point. 7 teams just in the ACC or the Big 12 increased or decreased by 3 wins just from 2018 to 2019. Ohio State stayed the same, 11-1, 12-2, or 12-0. Penn State stayed about the same. They went from 9-3 to 10-2. Michigan stayed from 10-2, 9-3, about the same range. Actually, yeah, Michigan 10-2, 9-3. Indiana went from 5-7 to 8-4. That's team number 8. Michigan State stayed the same. Maryland and Rutgers stayed the same. Wisconsin went from 7 wins to 10. They went from 7-5 to 10-2. There is our 9th team. Minnesota went from 6-6 to 10-2. There's our 10th team. Iowa from 8-4 to 9-3. Illinois, they increased from, I believe, 2-10 to 6-6. There's our 11th team. Purdue dropped off by 2 games. That doesn't meet our criteria. Nebraska stayed the same in Northwestern. There's team number 12. Went from 9-5 in winning the Big Ten Western Division last year to 3-9. All right. So Miami fans, there is hope. 12 teams in the Big Ten, the ACC, and the Big 12 either increased or decreased their wins by at least 3 in 2018 to 2019. All right, folks. Unfortunately, Cam has apparently not been able to join us tonight. I hope he's fine, and I will double check and see where we stand. Unfortunately, Cam is under the weather and not able to join us. So, unless somebody else has anything else in the live chat that they would like me to address, we've got Power 5 and FBS rankings coming your way, 1 through 130. Offensive and defensive players of the year. And all sorts of videos. I won't even go down it. All sorts of videos coming your way here in the next few days here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. So my apologies on the lack of Miami talk this week, but we just posted 2 videos with a wholesome one. Dwayne Holloway on the early enrollees and Rhett Lashley and Garen Justice as the new offensive coaches. And we're going to have another Q&A. So leave your questions in the comment sections of any of the videos on Miami football, because the Wholesome One is going to be answering those next Tuesday. So we will join you then and many times in between right here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Have a good night.